It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Yeah, welcome back. You're still live with your Feel Good Breakfast Show. We are loving our Techie Thursday today. Such cool stories to chew on this morning. And of course, one major story that I think has, not just in the tech sphere, but I think has got the whole world watching and maybe scratching their head just a little bit because it's a crazy advent. Elon Musk has just bought Twitter. Just the whole of Twitter, for only $44 billion. This happened last week. Now, this is a hallmark event for a number of reasons. For one, it marks the first time that Twitter has been owned by a single individual. Previously, there was a board, there were stakeholders, there were a group of people managing that space. Now it's one man. So what is changing exactly? Why did Elon Musk buy Twitter? What was his intention there? And what does he mean to use Twitter for now? What does this mean for us?
Yeah,
The tweeters.
Yeah, there's so much. Yeah, this is such a big event. Firstly, the sale hasn't gone through. Technically, it's gone through. It still needs to be approved by, like, the Competition Commission and all that stuff going forward. But for all intents and purposes, yes, Elon Musk owns Twitter. And yeah, they are.
Is it because he is just too rich? Like,
I think,
why is this such a hallmark moment? What does this possibly spell in terms of the gateway that we are now moving through?
Look, I think a lot of people will be like, why would Elon Musk buy Twitter for $44 billion when it's free to download on the App Store? But I saw a lot of that.
I want it all.
I think
I want it
the
all.
most important part of its valuation is that it's a internet town square. He even used that terminology. It's the place where we all get together and have a say. It's where information gets, like, spoken about.
It's the front line of news.
It's
Yeah,
the front
pretty
line
much.
news. And we know at Expresso we've got an active Twitter account, and a lot of people come and follow us on Twitter. So we know we interact with and engage with South Africans.
Part of the media ecosystem now, yeah.
We engage with South Africans on a digital format, and I've got my own Twitter account. We all do. That's where conversations about big political things happen, about products, about the world, about the state of affairs globally. And I think he said some noble things about Twitter, but I'm not convinced that it's the right thing for us
Okay, let me
do.
put it to you this way then, because I do love Elon Musk because of what he represents, I suppose. There's something about an individual being able to do these things. It kind of gives you hope that you can go out there and change the world around you. And seeing what he's doing with Starlink and all these things is like, wow, okay, there are some answers to the biggest questions. Are his intentions pure? Do you think he has another agenda for buying Twitter? Why are you scared?
So there's a couple of reasons. Regardless of people's intentions, like, people can start out these projects with great intentions, but it's very, very easy for an individual, a single individual with all of this power, to abuse it. And it's a very, very quick slippery slope. We've seen it politically in South Africa. We've seen it politically globally when one individual has a lot of power.
Power corrupts, man, yeah.
Power corrupts, and corporate power is some of the most power on the planet. So he's had a history of, like, talking about stock in a certain way, so it affects his portfolio, and then dumping stock, and then buying it cheaper later. He's had a history of that which in some situations people get arrested for. But the way he went about it was okay, but the principle there was not good.
Okay, so let's give him the benefit of the doubt here. What are some of the changes that he has set or has spoken about making to Twitter, and how's that going to affect us as the end user?
Okay, so the first change that he wants to do is to create an edit button. He's at least teased that.
That's okay, I'll dig that.
I like the idea of an edit button, but I don't know if Twitter needs one necessarily. Yeah. I don't think it's worth $44 billion to add
because he just wants to go back and change a tweet.
Yeah.
Spend 44 million bucks on
And then he also says he wants more freedom of speech, which, again, it's a noble thing to say, but at the same time, I don't think Twitter lacked freedom of speech. So
it was almost the ultimate expression of too much so.
in some ways, yeah.
You sometimes wish people would not exercise their freedom of speech.
But also, like, every country has laws around freedom of speech, and we've got great laws around freedom of speech, actually.
Very
Like,
progressive,
our
yeah.
South African constitution is the best constitution, on
yeah.
the planet. And I think we could be so proud of that. And that also, what the constitution says about free speech affects how we interact online. And it's so well, like, you can't just say what you want. Freedom of speech doesn't mean you can say whatever you want. You can't be racist. There are consequences to what you say, even though you have the freedom to say a lot of those things. So I think a lot of the freedom of speech bracket is so broad, and he says that he's claiming to add freedom of speech to it. I don't know. I think Twitter's got freedom of speech according to the laws of the countries that it's implemented in. I'm not sure that he's going to be able to contribute much there, but it's a big divisive conversation. And people online, if you are on Twitter, people have a lot to say about it. And I would love to see what you guys are saying about this on Twitter. If you go over to our Twitter handle on Expresso Show and just let us know, because I mean, Graham and I, off camera, we were having a bit of a Barney about it, going like, I'm not sure it's a good thing. You like Elon Musk, I have my reservations. I've seen villains in cartoon movies. He fits the category.